found in the garbage pit. The junkyard was cold and silent under the pale sky. Rusted metal, broken machines, and burned wires were stacked like mountains. The wind blew through the empty husks of old ships, carrying a strange smell: smoke, oil, and something else. Something alive. Jack, a human engineer, walked slowly between the metal piles. He had come here to find parts. He didn't expect to find a voice. "Don't touch me." He stopped. The voice was weak, faint, like someone was choking on shame. "Hello?" Jack called out. No answer. He moved closer to a broken cargo container. The door was halfway open. Inside, something moved: a small figure, curled in a corner, shaking. Jack stepped forward and slowly knelt. His boots crunched on the shattered glass. A girl. No, not quite human. Her skin was a soft silver gray, with bruises and scars across her arms and face. Her hair was tangled, dirty, full of dust. She looked no older than 12, but her eyes were ancient with pain. "Stay away," she whispered, not looking at him. "I'm dirty. I'm useless. I don't want to hurt you." Jack's heart squeezed in his chest. "I'm not afraid," he said gently. "Are you hurt?" She didn't answer. "I could help you," Jack said. "You shouldn't be here. It's dangerous. You're freezing." The girl raised her head slightly. Her eyes were big and watery. Her lips trembled. "They threw me away," she said, "because I don't work." Jack frowned. "Who threw you away?" "My makers, my masters. I failed the tests. They said I was broken." She looked at her hands as if they were poison. "They left me here to disappear." Jack felt his throat tighten. He had seen terrible things in his time: broken colonies, corrupt systems, hungry warlords. But this was different. This was a child. "I don't care if you're broken," Jack said. "Everyone deserves care, even if they've been hurt." She looked at him, confused. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you help something like me?" "Because you're not a thing. You're someone." He reached out his hand slowly. She flinched. But when his hand touched hers, it was warm. She burst into tears. Jack didn't waste another second. He gently lifted her into his arms. She was light to light, like she hadn't eaten in days. She didn't resist. She only cried softly into his shoulder. He carried her out of the junkyard, careful not to step on sharp metal. Other workers saw him and stopped what they were doing. A few stared. One of them, a grumpy old trader, asked, "You bringing home trash now?" Jack ignored him. He didn't see trash. He saw a soul that had almost been lost. Back at his workshop, Jack cleaned off the small bed in the corner. He laid her down gently and covered her with a warm blanket. She was still shaking, so he brought her a small cup of soup. The smell made her eyes open wider. "You can eat," he said kindly. "It's safe." She sniffed the soup, then tasted it slowly. Her body relaxed a little with each bite. "What's your name?" Jack asked. She didn't answer at first. "I don't have one." Jack sat beside her. "Then we'll make one. Something that belongs only to you." She looked at him again. Her voice was soft. "Leary." He smiled. "Leary. That's beautiful." Later, when Leary was resting, Jack looked at the strange marks on her arms. They weren't just scars. They glowed faintly, some kind of energy pattern, something advanced. He didn't know what she was yet, or what had been done to her. But he knew one thing clearly: whoever left her behind was wrong. She wasn't trash. She was precious. A warm room, a hot melt room, was still. The heater hummed gently. Warm light from the ceiling panels bathed everything in soft gold. Leary lay curled in the soft blanket. Her silver gray skin, once covered in dirt and cuts, was now clean but still bruised. Her body was weak, her heart even weaker. She had never felt a room like this before: warm, quiet, safe. Her eyes opened slowly. Across the room, Jack sat at a workbench, adjusting tools. He looked over his shoulder and smiled. "You're awake." Leary stared at him for a long second. "Where am I?" she asked. "My workshop," Jack said. "We're in the outer colony sector. This place isn't fancy, but it's home." Leary sat up slowly. Her arms trembled. "You brought me here." "Yes." Jack nodded. "I couldn't leave you in that junkyard." She looked down, ashamed. "You should have." "No," he said gently. "I shouldn't have. And I won't." Jack brought over a tray. On it were 2 slices of warm bread, a cup of soup, and a boiled egg. The smell made her stomach twist, not from disgust, but hunger. "I've never had food like this," she whispered. Then it's about time, he said, setting the tray beside her. She took the bread in her hand, holding it like it might vanish. Why? Are you helping me? She asked without looking at him. Jack paused. Because you need help. No one helps broken things, she said. Jack leaned closer. You're not broken, Leary. She flinched at the name. He smiled. You said that's your name, right? She nodded slowly. It's what I used to call myself. When they didn't give me one, then it's yours now. Jack said, no one can take it from you. Leary ate in silence. Her hands were careful, like every bite was a treasure. Jack watched her from across the room, fixing an old drone with one eye while checking on her with the other. After some time, she spoke again. You're human, aren't you? Yes, Jack replied. I've heard stories. Some say humans destroy, others say they protect. I don't know which one is true. Jack wiped his hands with a cloth. Both can be true, but I try to be one of the good ones. Leary's. I softened just a little. I think you are, after the meal. Jack brought out an old shirt and a soft pair of pants. They might be a bit big, but they'll keep you warm. She took them gently. Thank you. He turned away to give her privacy. When she spoke next, her voice was shaky. My people. They used me. Jack stopped. I was part of a group, she continued, made in a lab, born to serve. When we didn't meet their expectations, they called us flawed. One by one, we disappeared. Her hands tightened around the clothes. I escaped. Barely. I don't even know how long I've been hiding. Jack slowly sat back down near her. I'm sorry, Leary. I'm not worth it, she said, tears forming again. I'm not normal. Not even to them. Jack reached out, not to touch, but to be close. Listen to me. You don't have to be like anyone else to matter. You're here. You're alive. You're more than what they called you. The room grew quiet again. Leary hugged her knees. There's something wrong with me, Jack. Sometimes my skin glows. Sometimes things break when I get scared. I think I'm cursed. Jack didn't look afraid. He looked curious. Maybe it's not a curse, he said. Maybe it's something special. Leary looked at him, confused. You've been told lies your whole life, Jack said gently. It's time you learn the truth. She stared at him. No one had ever said those words to her before. That night, Leary fell asleep on the small bed. Her breathing was slow and peaceful. Jack sat nearby, watching the small glow under her skin fade in and out like a soft heartbeat. Whatever she was, someone had tried to erase her. But she wasn't gone. She was just beginning, and Jack had made a silent promise. He wouldn't let her be thrown away again. They want her back. Morning came quietly. Sunlight filtered through the dusty window of Jack's workshop. Birds chirped outside, though most of them were drones mimicking nature. Still, the air felt calm. Inside, Leary sat at the table with a cup of tea in her hands. Her hair had been brushed, her skin was healing, and she looked almost normal, almost. But the fear in her eyes never left. Jack watched her quietly while fixing a broken sensor. You slept okay? He asked. Leary nodded. Better than before. You had another glow last night, he said. I know, she replied. I felt it in my chest, like something waking up. Jack paused. Do you think it's dangerous? Leary looked down. I don't know, but the people who made me, they were afraid of it. Suddenly, a sharp alarm rang through the room. Jack stood fast, dropping his tools. He checked the screen near the door. A message flashed in red. An authorized ship has landed. Sector 9. That was just one street away. Leary's face went pale. Jack stepped toward her. Stay inside. Don't open the door. Who is it? She asked, already trembling. He didn't answer, but he already knew. Outside, the wind was stronger now. 3 figures walked slowly down the metal path. 2 soldiers in black armor. One tall woman in a long coat between them. They stopped in front of Jack's door. The woman knocked gently, almost politely. Jack opened the door, blocking the inside with his body. Can I help you? He asked coldly. The woman smiled, but her eyes were hard. My name is Officer Vale. I'm here for property that has been misplaced. Jack's face didn't change. You have no business here. Vale stepped closer. I believe you've taken in a defective model, Alpha-class hybrid, female, approximately 14 in appearance, gray skin, energy resonance marks on the arms. Jack didn't move. Her name is Leary, he said, and she's not property. The woman's smile faded. She belongs to our program, and you are interfering with official government work. She belongs to herself, Jack said firmly. She's not going with you. Inside, Leary stood near the wall, listening. Her legs shook, her chest burned. Don't touch me. I'm dirty. The words repeated in her head, but Jack's voice cut through that noise. She belongs to herself. A tear rolled down her cheek. Outside, Officer Vale's patience ended. Search the building. The soldiers moved past Jack. He tried to stop. Then but one soldier knocked him down with a hard strike. Leary, run! Jack shouted. The girl didn't wait. She turned and sprinted to the back door, grabbing the small bag Jack had packed for her the night before just in case. She pushed open the hidden tunnel entrance beneath the floor and jumped inside. The tunnel was dark and narrow. Leary crawled fast, heart pounding. Behind her, she heard boots. They were following. She turned sharply at a fork, choosing a path Jack once showed her, one that led far beyond the colony walls. The walls of the tunnel hummed with old power lines, and the fear inside her triggered something again. Her arms began to glow, the lights flickered, and a panel exploded behind her. At the surface, Jack was thrown into a chair, bruised and coughing. Officer Vale stared at him. You helped her escape, she said. She's a child, Jack replied. You people throw them away like garbage. She's a failed experiment, Vale hissed. You have no idea what she is, what she can do. I know enough, Jack said. I know she's kind and scared, and she'd rather be dead than in your hands. The officer's face grew cold. You'll regret this. She turned to leave. Find the girl, bring her in, or destroy her, in the forest outside the colony. Leary burst out of the tunnel and collapsed in the snow. She breathed hard, her body aching, skin glowing with energy. She sat up slowly and looked at her hands. I'm not broken, she whispered. I'm alive. Asterisk her powers awakened. Leary sat under a tall tree, her back pressed against the cold bark. Snowflakes floated gently from the sky, resting on her silver skin before melting. Her breath was shaky, her hands still glowing with soft blue light. She looked down at her palms. They pulsed like they were alive. I didn't mean to do that, she whispered to herself. The memory of the tunnel explosion played in her mind, how the wires sparked, how the walls cracked when her fear took over. It had all happened so fast. Too fast. She clenched her fists. I can't control it. Back in the colony, Jack limped back into his workshop. The soldiers had left, but his place was a mess. Tools were scattered. Screens were cracked. His arm was bruised badly, but he didn't care. He cared about Leary. She's out there, he whispered, and they're coming for her. He activated an old drone and gave it one task. Find Leary, stay hidden, send location. The drone flew silently into the cold sky. Jack packed a small bag with supplies, food, medical tools, and a communicator and stepped outside. She needs me, he said. I'm not letting her face this alone. In the forest, Leary tried to walk, but her legs were weak. Her body trembled from cold and fear. The snow had turned heavier now, making every step harder. She found an old shack half buried under a snow hill. The roof was broken, but it was shelter. She crawled inside, wrapping herself in a piece of cloth left behind by someone long gone. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I can't go back. I don't want to be a weapon. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. Not boots. Heavy feet. Slow. Careful. She froze. Through a crack in the wall, she saw something large, a patrol drone. Government built. The kind used to hunt fugitives. It scanned the forest with red lights. If it found her, she'd be marked. Track. Captured. Li. Or I closed her eyes. Please, go away. The fear built in her chest again. Her arms glowed. The snow around her began to lift into the air. The drone paused. Beep, beep. Then it turned toward the shack. Leary. Panic. Double quotes. No dash, no dash, no. The energy burst from her body in a wave of invisible force. The drone exploded in midair, thrown backwards like a toy. Flames lit up the snow. Metal parts fell around the shack like rain. She fell to her knees, breathing hard, shaking. In that moment, Jack's drone picked up the flare. It zoomed toward the location and hovered above the wreckage. Scanning the area. It found her inside the shack. Jack's eyes widened when he saw the footage. She's growing stronger, he whispered. She doesn't even know how much. He ran faster through the forest path. Inside the shack, Leary stared at her hands again. I heard it, she said softly, but it was going to hurt me. She didn't know if that made her good or dangerous. Suddenly, the shack door opened. She jumped up, arms glowing again. "It's me." Jack's voice rang out. She froze. "Jack." He stepped inside, holding up both hands. "It's okay. I'm here." She ran to him and for the first time, hugged someone by choice. "I didn't mean to do it." She cried into his chest. "It just happened." "I know," he said, wrapping his coat around her. "You're scared, but you're not alone." He sat her down and gave her warm food. She ate slowly, her energy returning. "Jack," she said after a while, "what's wrong with me?" Jack looked at her with kind eyes. "Nothing is wrong with you," he said. "You've been told lies." "But I break things," she whispered. "So do storms," Jack replied. "But storms also bring rain that helps things grow." She looked at him, confused but thoughtful. "I think," he continued, "you're more than they ever understood." Outside, more patrols were coming. Jack knew their time was short. "We need to go to the old sanctuary," he said, "deep in the mountains. No one will find us there, and maybe we'll find answers." Leary nodded. "I trust you," she said. Her eyes no longer held only fear. They held hope. The underground sanctuary snow fell heavier now as Jack and Leary moved through the forest. Jack led the way, holding a scanner in one hand and Leary's hand in the other. Her fingers were cold, but she didn't complain. She followed him quietly. Every step deeper into the unknown, the forest ended at the base of a cliff, behind thick trees. Jack found what he was looking for, a metal door, half buried in snow and moss. "This is it," he said. Leary looked at the door. "What is this place?" "An old human outpost. It was built before the last war, long forgotten." He entered a code on a small pad. The door clicked out with a deep groan. It slid open. Warm air and dim lights greeted them. They stepped inside. The hallway inside was narrow and dark, but not broken. The walls hummed softly, emergency lights still. "Worked after all these years. This place had power?" Leary asked. Jack smiled. "Humans always leave a backup plan." He led her through the tunnels past empty rooms, rusted lockers, and old signs written in faded English. They reached a large chamber with clean floors, beds, and old screens. "This will be our home for now," Jack said. Leary sat down, her legs finally giving out. "It's warm. Safer too," he said. Over the next few days, Jack helped Leary recover. He gave her new clothes, taught her how to use simple tools, and showed her old maps of the galaxy. But something deeper happened, too. Leary began to laugh, just small smiles at first, then soft giggles when Jack told silly jokes, and when she slept, she no longer cried. Still, Jack noticed her arms glowed strong each night. Her energy was changing. She was changing. One evening, Jack found a locked room, deep inside the sanctuary. He used an old security code to open it. Inside were data tablets, files, and records, dusty but intact. He wiped off one screen and read the first file, Project Elysium, hybrid bridge program. Kept reading. Leary wasn't just created for war. She was designed to connect. Later that night, he sat with Leary and showed her the file. "You weren't made to destroy," he said. "You were made to feel what others feel, to help species understand each other. That glow inside you, it's empathy, amplified." Leary's eyes widened. "But they called me broken." Jack nodded slowly. "Because they didn't understand your power, or they feared it." She touched her arm. "So I'm not dangerous. You are," Jack said gently, "but not in the way they think. You're dangerous to people who want to keep others apart." Leary stared at the screen again. For the first time, her glow didn't flicker with fear, but with curiosity. They explored more rooms the next day. In one chamber, they found 6 cryo-pods. Inside, each was another like her, young, gray-skinned, asleep. "Are they like me?" Leary asked. Jack checked the scanner. "Yes, different builds, but same core." Leary stepped forward. She looked at one girl inside the pod, her hand pressed against the glass. "I remember her from the lab," she whispered. "She protected me." Jack's voice was low. "Maybe now you can return the favor. They didn't wake the others yet." It was too dangerous, but Leary made a promise in her heart. She wouldn't run anymore. She would learn, and she would protect them like Jack protected her. One night, while Jack was fixing the comms panel, Leary stood at the edge of a balcony inside the sanctuary. She looked up. Her skin glowed softly under the emergency lights. "I'm not dirty," she said aloud. "I'm not useless." Her voice was firm. "I am Leary." Behind her, Jack smiled without saying a word. "Asterisk the rescue, where the trapped sanctuary's lights flickered. Jack looked up from his workbench. That's not normal, he muttered. Li, or I was in the other room. Practicing her focus, she sat cross-legged, eyes closed, trying to calm the glowing lines on her skin. But the flicker in the light broke her concentration. She stood. Something's wrong, isn't it? Jack nodded slowly. Maybe a power drain, or maybe, before he finished, a warning. Beep echoed through the chamber. Motion detected. External breach. Jack moved to the monitor. A small drone outside the mountain sent a blurry image. A ship. Black. Government issue. Leary froze. They found us. Jack moved fast. Leary, grab your bag. We might need to run again. But the others, she said, looking toward the cryopod room. Jack paused. We can't take them now. If they find us, they'll take you. They'll take all of them. Leary clenched her fists. Then we fight. You're not ready to fight. I'm ready to protect. Outside, soldiers moved through the snow, scanning the ground with heat sensors. Their leader, Officer Vale, stepped forward, her face hard as steel. She's in there, she said coldly. I can feel it. They used sonic charges to weaken the old mountain door. Break it down. Inside. Jack and Leary moved to the back of the sanctuary. There's a second tunnel, he said. Leads to the cliffs as they passed the cryopods. Leary stopped. I can't leave them again. Jack looked at her, eyes full of worry. If you stay, you'll be captured. Leary stepped closer to one of the pods. She placed her hand on the panel. Her hand glowed. The screen flickered. Then, one pod opened. Steam hissed as the seal broke. A young boy inside gasped and opened his eyes. Jack stepped back, shocked. How did you? I don't know, Leary said. I just felt it. The boy sat up slowly, confused and scared. You're safe, Leary whispered. You're with me now. The door at the front of the sanctuary shook violently. A voice echoed through the walls. Leary, come out. You can't hide. The boy inside the pod flinched. I held his hand. Jack handed her the comm device. You have 10 minutes. Get to the high ridge. Signal me from there. I'll lead them away. No, Leary said. We stay together. I'll be right behind you. He promised. Leary nodded, then turned to the boy. Come on. We're not going to let them decide who we are. She led him through the tunnel. It was dark, but her glowing skin lit the way. The boy followed her closely, weak but awake. Behind them, the sounds of battle began. Gunfire, sparks, shouts. Jack was fighting. Leary ran faster. They reached the top of the ridge just as snow began to fall again. Leary raised the comm. Jack, we made it. Double quote static. Then Jack's voice came through. Good. Now listen. There's a drop ship waiting nearby, unlocked. Get in and fly. Don't wait for me. Leary shook her head. No, I won't leave you. You have to, Jack said, voice breaking. They want you, not me. You're the future, Leary. You can protect them. You can help others like you. Tears filled her eyes. Promise me you'll find the others. Set them free. I promise. She whispered. Then the signal cut. Behind her, the boy looked up. What now? Leary looked to the stars. We find the others, she said softly. And we make sure no one feels shame again. She turned, helping him toward the ship. The rise of the Broken One's ship lifted off slowly, its engines humming through the silent sky. Snow scattered below, glowing softly in the rising sun. Leary sat in the pilot's seat, eyes fixed on the controls, though her thoughts were far away. Jack was gone. He had stayed behind, and she didn't know if he survived. Her heart ached, but she kept flying. Beside her, the boy, his name was Reed, stared quietly through the window. His eyes were wide, filled with fear and wonder. Are we safe now? He asked. Leary looked at him, then out at the stars. No, she said honestly, but we're free, and that's a start. The ship reached a quiet moon hidden behind a gas planet. Jack had once told her about it, a secret refuge for outcasts, deserters, and forgotten souls. The landing pad was old, but working. As they stepped out, Leary felt something shift inside her. She wasn't hiding anymore. She was choosing. Inside the small moon base, she met others. Not many, but enough. A few humans, a few hybrids, one old woman with robotic arms, a child with feathers instead of hair. Each of them had a story. Each had been left behind by someone. They welcomed her with cautious eyes. She didn't blame them. She had once looked the same way. Over the next few weeks, Leary learned how to fly better, how to build and how to teach. She studied her powers not as something to fear, but something to understand. She learned that her glow responded not just to fear but to emotions, love, sadness, anger, hope, and when she focused with kindness, it could heal dots she fixed a boy's broken arm with just a touch and deep focus. She helped a blind woman see light again. They began calling her something new, not broken, not defective, Lightbringer. But she didn't stop there. Every night, she remembered the cryopods, the children still sleeping underground, so she built a plan, with help from the moon base. She built a ship big enough to return to the sanctuary, to bring them home. The mission was quiet, no gunfire, no soldiers, Jack had done his part. He had erased the trace signals. When Leary returned to the mountain, it felt like stepping into an old memory, cold, dark, but not scary. She opened the remaining pods, one by one. There were 4 more children, each one scared, each one confused. She held each of their hands. "I'm Leary," she said, "and I was once like you. You're not dirty. You're not shameful. You are powerful. You are precious." They followed her without question, because they could feel it. The truth in her voice, the strength in her glow, the warmth of her hand. Years passed. Leary became a leader not of an army, but of a family, a home, a hope. They built a new place, a school, a home, a safe zone for all hybrids, all broken ones, all forgotten, and she named it Haven. One evening, she stood under the stars, watching new ships land, bringing more outcasts, more survivors. Beside her stood Reed, taller now, smiling. Behind her, the once silent children now laughed. She closed her eyes, and thought of Jack. She never heard from him again, but deep inside, she felt him, his promise, his heart. He had believed in her when no one else had, and that belief had become a fire that warmed the entire galaxy. From one act of kindness, the world had changed.